Good morning, welcome back to the allotment. It's quite early. I've just been up to the flower market to get some compost for work, and I thought I'd come down and just have a look at the allotment after we had those bad winds. We didn't get real damage down here, it was just really gusty winds for 2 days. The first day were the worst. I had to tie a few things down. Second day yesterday was still quite windy, but not too bad. But I'll show you one or two people that have maybe not got away so lightly. Let's have a wander just up towards a mixed plot. It's not a mixed plot. If Mick puts it down, he makes sure it's down right. But this plot at the side, this, where the tomatoes were, is where their polytunnel was, and this is where it is now. Now, I came down yesterday. The plot holders have not been down yet, but it was, as I say, the first day, Monday, it was blowing a real gale, and it was flying all over. And then yesterday was quite windy. And as I got down here, this thing was actually coming all the way across here, and it was heading up towards mixed plot here. So luckily enough, there was another member of the allotment site that was here, and we basically just had to put some pallets in the middle that you can see there, just to keep it in situ. Otherwise it could have done some real damage. So it doesn't look like the plot holders have been down since, so they're going to get a bit of a nasty surprise when they come. But it is one of the things with these, what I call flyaway polytunnels. Well, you can't really call them a polytunnel. If you don't put them down properly, then you're in serious bother. Just there beyond mixed plot, Barbara, she's got her polytunnel that's been down for years, but that will put down properly. Scaffold boards down the side, big huge metal stakes into the ground, and secured down tightly. I think the only issue they're going to have is when they want to change the cover. They've got a lot of work to do to not so much undo it, because they can always just cut the bottom off, but then to secure the new cover. Personally, if you're going to get a polytunnel, I think you've got to get the right one and go to somebody like First Tunnels, or a reputable dealer. And if you can afford it, get them to put them in and install them. Right, let's nip up to the plot and see if there's been any damage since I left yesterday morning. Seems a lot of people are heeding this sign. I'm not getting disturbed half as much now. I need to make sure they know that it's only a joke. Right, yeah. Here we are. Good morning, Lily. Well, that's a strange thing. I do that every single morning when I come in. I see that sign. It always prompts me to say good morning to Lily. That's a really, really good way of remembering her. Now, the only real problem that I had was with the runner beans. The wind were blowing sort of like diagonally across the site, so it was playing havoc with the beam frame. So what I had to do is tie this rope onto the fence, and that stopped it, because when I came on it was leaning right the way across there. I've had this structure up some time, and it's never really faltered, but I might have to look at securing it on both sides rather than just on both ends rather than just the sides. And then the only other thing I had was I lost a couple of my sweet corn because they're so tall and the wind was flying across. It took a couple of them out. So really, I've got off pretty lightly. Anyway, enough of that wind malarkey. As I say, we can just thank us lucky stars that we got away with it. I know people in Scotland had it really, really bad, and my heart goes out to people that have, you know, had serious damage to the homes, the plots, you know, the gardens. It's horrendous, and you know, it's one of my worst weathers. You know, rain, you know, you can still get on. You just dress accordingly. You know, sun, I love it, it's fantastic, but wind, I think, oh, what's the point? You know, it's there just causing all that havoc for no reason. I suppose it helps pollinate your plants and stuff, but for me, don't like it. Anyway, I'm glad we're back in the greenhouse, because on the last video, I harvested some cucumbers and I showed you how many cucumbers I had on this plant. But I missed one. Again, no specs on. I do need to go to Specsavers. I was showing you all these, and there was one hidden behind this post. So let me show you what that looks like. Yeah, so I was showing you all these down here. Counted, I think we counted about 7, didn't we? Went straight past this beast. Look at that. Now, I'm going to take that off the plant now. But that is some cucumber. How on earth did I miss that? Now, my question is just as I asked the about the beetroot, and it said, oh, you know, the beetroot can go woody. A lot of people told me that, you know, that's just a myth. You know, if you get a big beetroot, it just means that you've got to cook it more, cook it for longer. So I'm just wondering, cucumbers, that's obviously got out of sight. It's got a little bit too big. Is it going to taste the same? You know, obviously I'll know the proof will be in the pudding when I try it at home. But if there's anybody out there that wants to have a chat, leave something in the comments below. As I mentioned in the last video, I was going to start and peel back the leaves on these peppers, and I've started to do that here, and it's certainly bringing a lot more light into the plant. And what I do every now and then as well is I rotate the plant, you know, and I turn it round, just so that, almost like you would a piece of meat. Sometimes you know, you're roasting a piece of meat, you turn it over just to cook evenly. Well, it's a similar sort of thing. You know, these on this side here don't get as much light as the ones out there, so I twist them around every now and then, but they're looking great, aren't they? They're looking brilliant. Look at that one, cracking, and they taste so good too. Come down to just look at the apple tree. I'm just a little bit concerned that it's leaning a little bit and it needs a bit more support. Now, I do know they say when you get an apple tree, when they first get their apples in the first year, you should take them off and allow the roots to get down, and I think that might be an idea for me now. I might just harvest these apples, because I tasted one the other day. It wasn't bad at all. It wasn't bitter, you know, it just needed to ripen a little bit. So I think I'm going to harvest those apples, take them home, let them harvest in the fruit bowl, and then I'm going to try and get that staked up, and see if it can then get its roots down and be a little bit stronger next year. As you can see, the wind's played havoc with the cosmos. They're that big, you know, they act as a sail in the wind, and they just flop all over. You know, I've got to say, I'm really, really disappointed with this plant, and it's not the plant's fault, it's mine. I've obviously not looked at the variety. A couple of the subscribers gave me a variety which stays small. I think one of them was it Sonata? So next year I'm going to do my research, but I'll be totally honest, I think these plants are doing more damage than they are good, so it might be that I clear this space. There we go. There's only a couple left on there that were definitely not ripe. But as I say, I tried one of these the other day and they were lovely. A lot of people have asked me what the architectural plants are outside the shed or the sun shelter, and I've dropped them a message to let them know, but I thought I'd just let everyone know. This is a Musa Basju banana, and I've got another two there. Now if you remember, these were the pups off the big bananas that I lost back at home, so they've done really, really well. So all I'm doing is bringing them on here. I'm going to get them in the next 2 weeks or so up to the garden, and I'm going to get them planted where I want them to be. Last year, as I've told you before, I spent a few quid on two big bananas, and I thought that I'd be able to overwinter them in the pots. And what I did is on the cold nights I'd put them in the shed, and they just literally collapsed. I mean, they were about so tall, and they literally just collapsed and snapped in half. But these were the pups that came off the sides, and I've got another two that I've already planted at home. So they're banana, Musa Basju, they're the hardiest ones that you can get over in the UK. This is a fig, which I rescued from the back plot. When I did my research on it, they don't like sitting wet in damp soil, so I've put it in the pot for now, and I'll see how it goes. This one and this one, people were asking about these. These were cuttings that were given to me by Graham across the way. Now these are called echiums, I believe. I think they're called echiums. I think they are. My memory's gone, I'll tell you. But basically, I'll double check, and if I'm wrong, I'll leave it in the comments. But basically, these are biannual, and these can grow up to 13 feet tall, and they have really nice sharp leaves coming out of them. They grow almost like in a Christmas tree shape, and then they have really nice purple flowers on the sides of them. So again, these are for the garden at home, so these are going to be going up to the house as well. But what I want to do is take you in the greenhouse, because I forgot to show you something that I've been waiting for. Yes, forgot to show you these. Yesterday while talking to Martin, I just happened to glance over his shoulder and I saw a Gebrange going a little bit orange. So I got very excited, which doesn't take a lot. And further back here, if you look in there, look at that little beauty. So finally, these are starting to ripen, and as I said to you before, there are tons and tons of fruit on these, and I'm going to do a similar thing, start and just take off some of these leaves so that these fruits can get maximum sunlight. So that has really made my week. I'm really, really pleased. Down here there's tons of them, so yeah, really, really happy. Right, let's nip over to the shed or the sun shelter. Time for a little chat. Right then, I could right do with a cup of tea now, but I've brought no milk with me, so I'll just have to wait till I get into work. I just wanted to have a little chat about a post that I put up. I think it was yesterday, and basically I don't really talk about politics on this channel because, you know, everybody has differing opinions, and you know, politics for me is something that I like to you know, keep a sharp eye on, and I do like to have my input wherever I can. But I saw a post on social media. Angela Rayner, which is the deputy leader of our country, deputy prime minister, has given permission for 8 sites to be allotment sites to be sold off to help local government finance the day-to-day running of their services. And I'll be totally honest with you, when I saw that, I was just horrified. First of all, they're a Labour Party, supposed to be for the working man and woman. Over the last sort of year that they've been in, it certainly doesn't look like they're there for the working man and woman. Some of the decisions they've made are absolutely horrendous, and as I say, I don't want to get into it, but they'll definitely not be getting my vote again. That's how strongly I feel about it. So when I heard about this, the council's being allowed to sell off certain sites to developers so that they can make extra money, for the day-to-day running, it really galled me. That's sticking a sticky plaster on a massive gaping wound. The council services across this country for the last 15-16 years have been under austerity, and the councils have lost billions and billions and billions of pounds off their funding to run their services. And councils are already been selling off their assets, selling off buildings, selling off pockets of land. They've been doing this for ages, and my philosophy is you can only sell it once. Once you've sold it, that's it. So yeah, I was really alarmed, and I then found out that there is a survey gone out with regards to an allotment site over at the other side of Leeds in Headingley, where they're asking for people's opinion in this survey as to what their thoughts would be if they were to get rid of that parcel of land and put houses on it. Well, you can imagine what the poor plot holders were feeling. And I have had a local authority background for 25 years, so there is a little bit of insider knowledge. And surveys, I've seen many a survey done, and the results of which, don't always get acted upon. So I am very worried, and it worries me that our site, there are quite a few plots that are not looking too good, and I think that if you give the council an inch, they'll take a mile. So yeah, I'm really worried, and not just for particularly here. I mean, there's no mention of this site. You know what I mean? There's no mention of this site being, in danger of that. But I just think it's the thin end of the wedge. When the Deputy Prime Minister gives the nod to a few councils to sell off, allowing them to sell off their their allotment sites, it is worrying. Now, the National Association, the allotment, what is it? National Association of Allotments. Anyway, yeah, the main sort of governing body nationally for allotments, they put a statement out saying, don't be alarmed, don't worry, the allotment sites are protected, they're a statutory requirement, but then went on to say, that if the government want to close any sites, then there is a due process to follow, which the Prime Minister has followed for these 8 sites. So for me, it didn't reassure me. Their statement didn't reassure me. It just highlighted to me that there's a loophole in this legislation. And if you follow the due process, there is a way that allotment sites are not protected and can be sold off. So I'm just wondering if there's any of you guys out there, particularly in the UK, that have allotments that are under threat, or you've heard murmurings, on the grapevine that they may be looking to, close your site. And I'd also like your views on, is it worth joining the allotment association? Are you given certain protections? If you, I presume we'd have to pay into those into the association. So if anybody's got any information on that, you know, and if that offers any protection, then what I can do is I can pass that on to the committee and see what they think about it. But yeah, put a dampener on the week, did that, you know, right at the beginning of the week. To hear something like that is quite worrying. But we've not got that situation at the minute, so, but I thought I'd air it. Anyway, I'm rambling, and I want to thank everybody for their comments with regards to me talking about maybe changing the style of how this video, how the channel runs, and how I film. You know, I was thinking about maybe sort of adding music and making it a little bit more, you know, upbeat. And I think really I was just getting a little bit caught up and swayed by what I see on YouTube. And the real thing is, and what the overwhelming response from you guys was to just leave as it is. You know, the reason I like watching YouTube is because of the rawness. I like to see real people. As much as I like Alan Titchmarsh and Monty Don, they're great, you know, but I like to see real people and their experiences. So yeah, I had a little bit of a moment, but that moment's passed. So the channel will be staying the same. The only thing I'm going to do is I am going to invest in a mic, and I keep promising you, we'll keep watching, because it just might happen one day. Right guys, I have rambled enough, so I'm going to get myself off to work. I hope you all have a great day and the rest of the week, and fingers crossed I see Dan, and see if we can visit his plot. I can't promise, you know, but I'll do my damnedest. But until then, take care everybody. Thank you very, very much again for all your kind comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. If you're watching and you've not subscribed, hit that button, it'd be great. Right, I'm off. Take care and happy growing.